So I'm just off to Cotillo to take some photos of an apartment for a friend. I'm in Sue's car because my car's off the road because it's developed an oil leak. My trusty old 4x4. Anyway, I thought I'd bring you with me and take you on a little walk around El Cotillo, see what it's like at the moment, show you any new additions in the form of bars or restaurants or what have you. And then I thought I'd find a quiet spot and answer a few questions I've received recently. So here we are at Playa de la Concha, probably the most well-known beach in Cotillo. Quite a few people around today. It's a little bit windy, but this is Fuerteventura. Camper vans seem to be building up, despite the fact that they were supposed to be stopping them. But this is under the Cotillo Beach Hotel, and most of the shops underneath seem to be taken up now. So there's an island gourmet shop selling local produce, a small supermarket. I'll take a walk further along. A nail and beauty salon, natural cosmetic shop. Oh, that one's empty. And there's a sort of souvenir-y, closey type shop, beach shop. There's the hotel entrance. Oh, there's a bank machine. Didn't know there was two in the village. And there's a shop that does tours and cars, etc. Handmade goods. Rent a bike. Segway tours. Massage. Clothes shop. So that sort of yoga and things. Doesn't look like it's open. Another souvenir type shop. And then there's another doctors, private doctors. Another shop selling aloe vera. Another sort of beachy shop. So apart from that, not much has changed in this area. Just down from the French bakery here, at the other end of the block, is a new restaurant, or one I haven't seen before, called the Funky Kitchen. Don't know what it's like though. Thanks phone. Well, the sad news is that Ferrets bar closed recently, which is one of the nicest little bars in the village, but just noticed it's now being reopened as a bakery come cafe called Cotillo Family. Well, we'll take a little walk down to the old harbour, and I'll talk now because it's probably too windy for you to hear me down there. So we'll walk down the street and we'll see what little bars and restaurants there are here, and we'll see what else is going on. doing good business. Well, there's a few people on the surfers beach today. The sea's looking lovely, nice and calm, and really lovely and clear. As you can probably see, just about all the sand has come back after it was washed away in the big storm in about February time. It's amazing how it repairs itself. Well, there's plenty of kite surfers out today. They seem to go out to sea and then turn around and come back again. A bit like a road, they go one way and come back the other way. Just taking a look at that sea. How clear is that? They seem to be pretty good. Toston Tower over there. So we're here in the new harbour. Nothing much has changed here really. Business as usual. The Aguero, where I'm going to go in a minute and have a coffee. One place that is new in the new harbour area is the Olivo Corso. Lovely tapas food. It's been open some months now, but doing really well. Run by a friend of ours, Fred. Try it if you're in El Cotillo. Well, hopefully you can hear me amongst the wind and the other noises there are. People talking, music, etc. It's about the quietest place I can find there. At least I've got a decent view behind me. Well, I've had a few questions lately. I thought I'd try and answer those. Number one, what's the internet like here? Well, it's one of the drawbacks of living here. It is a sort of third world internet. At home I get about 7 megabits per second download and ridiculously only about 0.2 of a megabit upload. And when I upload my videos, we can't download, which means we lose our TV. So I have to do it overnight. They are talking about getting fibre optics here, and in fact I've already paid for installation. I'm on the waiting list. They said it would be 2 months, but actually I've been waiting 3 now. But things never happen quickly here. Cross fingers it actually happens, because then I'll have up to 300, which will make life a lot easier. As far as pricing goes, it's probably not too bad here, including line rental, and for that broadband that we have at the moment, I pay about €40 just under a month. Next, can you give any tips on buying a car? Well, cars are one of the few things that are expensive here, particularly second hand. They say that if you can afford it, the best thing to do is to buy a new car, because they're actually, relatively speaking, quite cheap, because there's less duty and things on them, and they do hold their value here, so it's probably a reasonably good investment, unlike in the UK and other places. If you're buying second hand, then you do have to be careful, because here any fines and taxes owed on the car stays with the car. It doesn't stay with the old owner, so you have to get that checked out to make sure that there's nothing owed on it. You do that at the police station. And also, transferring ownership here isn't as easy as it is in the UK, for instance, where you just fill in a form and send it off to the DVLC. Here you actually have to go with loads of paperwork to the police in Puerto del Rosario and get the transfer changed over there, and then you have to pay tax. You have to pay tax on the transfer. After that, it's pretty cheap. The car tax is really cheap here. I think Sue and I pay about €100 a year for both of our cars, and when you consider that mine's a 4x4, well, I'd probably be paying £400 odd a year on it. You know, €100 a year for both cars really isn't too bad. Obviously petrol's very cheap here as well compared to the UK and elsewhere. I think I'm paying diesel about 97 cents a litre here. Next, what does it cost to buy a property in Fuerteventura? Well, it certainly costs more than buying one in the UK. In the UK, obviously you've got solicitors' fees and you've got stamp duty, which can be relatively low. Here it's much higher. As a rule of thumb, including your stamp duty, your other taxes, your solicitors' fees, etc., they normally reckon on about 10 to 11% of the purchase price will go in that sort of thing. If you're buying a new property, it's slightly cheaper. The tax is slightly cheaper on a new property. There are plenty around. Prices do seem... Shut up. Prices do seem to be rising here. There are less repossessed properties around to buy. There are some cheap places still. The best thing to do is to come over and have a look, see what's around. Lastly, I would like to know about long-term rental in Fuerteventura, the pros and cons around it. Well, that's one thing that's really difficult to get now. There's been a huge influx of people in recent year or so, particularly young Italians. Most of those have been coming to the north of the island, so they've been snapping up the long-term rents, so they're pretty hard to get. And because there's a high demand and a lower supply, the laws of supply and demand have meant that prices have gone up for long-term rents too. Unfortunately, that means a lot of locals are being priced out of the market, which is a shame, but you know, private landlords are out to get what they can, and I don't blame them. You know, they're not responsible for providing social housing. That's the job of the council, and the council doesn't seem to have any properties. Because they've become so hard to get, there's been an increase in squatters lately. There's 2 houses near me that I showed in a previous video that have been empty for years, lovely villas, where the doors and the windows started gradually disappearing. Well, now squatters have moved into both. They've blacked out the windows and they're living there for how long I don't know. It is quite difficult to get squatters out. They have recently introduced a new law which should make things a bit speedier to get squatters out of your property, but it still requires going to the courts and what have you. As far as I'm concerned, if somebody's moved into your property, you should just be able to go with the police and throw them out. But they seem to have more rights than you have as a landlord or as a property owner. Much the same in the UK though, unfortunately. Well, that's about it. I may do a proper Q&A session in one video, so if you've got any questions you want to ask, then pop them in the description below and I'll try and answer them at a later date. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click like because that helps the channel grow, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.